Welcome! Well, we've reached the end of Oasis month here at the final Monday of July 2025. This is Minidisc Monday episode number 43, and with me looking at the first 4 Oasis studio albums, all of which I own on Minidisc. This is the final Oasis album to look at today, and it's the final Oasis Minidisc in my collection. This will now mean that I've looked at all 6 of my Oasis Minidisc albums, the 4 studio LPs, and of course the Master Plan and Familiar to Millions in this series. But let's go out with a bang, and let's go out with their first release on their own Big Brother imprint label. Of course I'm talking about Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. I got this, as I did almost all of my mini discs, quite some years ago, and this was quite a cheap one from what I remember. I believe it was under £15. It probably was around the sort of £12 to £13 mark. I think the value has risen a fair bit in more recent years, but at the time, and perhaps because the case for this isn't in the greatest condition, I was able to get this for a cheap price really. I got this probably the weekend it came out on CD initially in 2000. I actually didn't really rate the album for many years, but it's grown on me over the years. We'll talk about that later on, of course. First album of Oasis's on the Big Brother imprint after Creation closed down in, that would have been I think the year 2000, same year this came out. Before I talk about the tracks, we'll do our usual look at the disc and contents, with the new Oasis logo there, which I never rated really. That was another thing that irritated me, the fact that they changed the logo to that, which isn't bad, but it's not the iconic Oasis logo, is it? And then other side, no track listing, but we've got the logo of the band and the album title again, and a tiny little bit of legal bump at the bottom. Although this case itself looks kind of scruffy on the front, it is still on its hinges, which is a minor miracle really for a case in that bad a condition. The booklet, unlike previous Oasis albums that I've looked at, it's not concertina style, it's more of a full stapled book here. Track listing there, image of someone's house, presumably one of the band members. Is it Supernova Heights maybe? I don't know. And there's lyrics in this as well, which is quite unusual for an Oasis album. I don't recall there being lyrics in any of the other booklets or inserts. And we get to the end and we have some credits, some thanks, and a bit more information. Pretty decent booklet there. So Standing on the Shoulder of Giants was obviously a kind of not return to basics for Oasis, because I think, you know, they were still showing some signs of progression here. But I think they realised that, especially with a couple of band members, Bonehead and Gwigsy, having left, and this was recorded prior to Andy Bell and Jem Archer joining the group, they would feature on the subsequent tour and in music videos and stuff, but this album was essentially recorded by Noel Gallagher, multi-instrumentalist, Liam and Alan White. But after the sort of critical mauling that Be Here Now got, this was, at the time I thought it was a weak kind of follow-up really. I liked the bombast of Be Here Now, and I still do to a large extent. I talked about it last week. Please go back and look at that edition of Minidisc Monday if you haven't seen it yet in the playlist. Certainly when I bought this mini disc in more recent-ish years, and I listened to this again a few more times, I enjoyed it. It has had a 25th anniversary reissue this year. I did also get this album on Blood Records exclusive coloured vinyl, so this is the first of 2 copies of it I now own. But let's go through the tracks and I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like so much. Fucking in the Bushes is track number 1. It's a great opener, I have to say. I always associate it with the movie Snatch, which would have come out, I think same year or year after. They used Fucking in the Bushes in that film, and I love the film, and the song really fits it, and it's a really great opener as well. Arguably Oasis's best instrumental. It does have sort of vocal samples in it, but it's an instrumental for all intents and purposes. Track 2, Go Let It Out, which was the lead single, and I believe the only number 1 single of the 3 that came from this album. Always liked it. I like the sort of Moog style organ that you hear in parts throughout. You know, it's a real kind of nod to psychedelia, but a sort of more subtle one than maybe All Around the World had been off the previous album. And I do like Go Let It Out. Track 3, Who Feels Love, which was the second single. I never liked that at all when it first came out. I don't mind it so much now, to be fair. I appreciate the sort of Indian flavour of it, really. I mean, I'm a big fan of Indian music, Bhangra really, which is Indian dance pop, but I do like to hear sort of sitars and tambours and things like that in Western music. Track 4, Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. It's alright, it's okay. Liam Gallagher gets his songwriting debut on an Oasis album here with Little James, which was penned for his stepson with Patsy Kensit at the time. It did kind of come across that like Liam had never really written lyrics before. The lyrics are kind of a little bit sort of cringeworthy. It's not a bad song ultimately, and it's kind of sweet really. I always think to this James chap, and whether he still sort of likes the fact that his ex-stepfather wrote him quite a corny song there. The intent from Liam was kind of sweet really, but the execution, certainly in the lyrics, no. Gas Panic is track 6, always like that. And Where Did It All Go Wrong, track 7, another decent one. I kind of thought that might have been a single at some point, it wasn't, but one that was a single, and the great Noel song is Sunday Morning Call. Do like that. And then last couple of tracks on this album are kind of okay. It kind of brings the album down a bit. I Can See a Liar, and the final track 10, Roll It Over. It's an album that improves with repeated listens, standing on the shoulder of giants. It's never going to be the greatest in Oasis's canon, and I think I judged it too harshly, or my tastes were just too different to really enjoy it back in 2000, but these days I can happily put this on, be it the Minidisc version or the vinyl version, and appreciate it for what it is. A good album from a group who are kind of regathering and recovering from the excesses of the 1990s and membership departures and other controversies. You know, the Oasis story, you don't really need me to go on about it. So that was Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, and that was Oasis month. So we are done and dusted with that. All of the Oasis albums have been reviewed now that I own on Minidisc for MD Monday, and we will return to a normal Minidisc Monday schedule in a fortnight's time. Thank you all for watching. Special thanks go to my subscribers and patrons. I'm going to go now, and please join me again, going back to a fortnightly schedule, so 14 days time, for the next regular non-Oasis edition of Minidisc Monday. Cheers everyone. See ya!